last topic is emerging best practices, how to get where your customers will be. Buck, will you go ahead and get us started off telling us about how Igniter Labs, as you provide custom online and mobile point of use digital solutions for retail, healthcare, and restaurant vertical markets, what technologies do you see having an impact on how the food service industry sells in 2020 and into 2021?
Technology definitely impacts selling. One of the things that we've seen in the last 3 or 4 months is how important that is. And Mike's got a great point. One of his people that I know real well, Patrick Malloy, is with me in a food equipment digital disruptor group. And first time I've ever been on Facebook was to actually join this group, which was good because Deidre then set up a NAFM Facebook group. But it's a way that people get a chance to share, and again, that existing and emerging technologies help us tell that story. So now we're seeing companies from every sector rush to use existing and emerging technology to sell. So tracking some of this, the NVIDIA, the IT giant, is now using an Adobe platform to leverage omni-channel new user experiences. You've got platforms that are doing things. For example, Interco, which is a medical device company, has jumped in and created a virtual experience. And Interco, because it's obviously outside our industry, this is medical device high-end tubing. So you got to question yourself. My God, they're looking at virtual experiences for medical tubing, but that's where we're really going. I mean, in our own industry, you can see I do a lot of stuff in the UK, so I track people like Rationale and Wellbuilt. And in the UK, these guys are conducting virtual training and live streaming tours for chefs with live feeds from test kitchens. So everyone's going, what is it going to take to embrace people? And a really good example of that is one of the immediate needs that everybody's had, which is sanitation. There's a real quick thing of how our panelists have also shown their ability to really quickly pivot and immediately address customer needs and do it on their social channels. So it's scary, but it's exciting at the same time.
I hear you. We just finished up hosting earlier this month FER Virtual Next, which I'm sure some of you have heard about. So that was our first foray into a virtual experience. Next question here is for George. George, Redstone covers a broad range of market segments. Recovery appears uneven between these. How are you planning, or how do you rescale customer acquisition efforts for this year and into next year?
Yeah, recovery right now recovery sure looked great a couple of weeks ago, and now we're stepping back in a few places. So I'm not even sure what that's going to look like. But without a doubt, the recovery across segments is not coming back equally. And I think that, I know for our business, a big part of our business in the past has been, I'll say K through 12 chain business, some things that right now are unstable and we're not sure how it is. At the same time, we're looking at this going, I think really 3 things we need to cover is just where are we going to spend time? What customers are coming back and at what rate? We also have looked and said, from a product standpoint, what does rescaling look like on what are the issues? What are the solutions? Because that's changed tremendously. And then really, again, just how do we spend our time and in our resources? And so, like we've looked at it now and looked and went, retail and grocery right now, the C-store side of it isn't even on a recovery. They've almost thrived through most of this. And so how are we refocusing some of our time and effort there? We're starting to see healthcare come back, which was a big part of what we had done in the past, but at least the long term is coming back. The hospitals hopefully will start to recover. So we're seeing some of that. We also look and go, the construction business really never slowed down. So on the equipment side and construction side, boy, our large projects, that never slowed down. So there's just a huge effort there. We also look at products and go, again, as much as we're on virtual meetings now, 4 months ago, PPE wasn't even an acronym that most of us would have recognized, and today it's become part of our vocabulary. The safety sanitation side of products has accelerated, and so like for us, we're looking at getting into chemicals and sanitation stuff, some stuff that we would have never done in the past. Robotics and automation in equipment has become a big deal. Vending, just food vending has become a big deal. And then the whole delivery takeout. I look and go, how many of us 6 months, 9 months, 12 months ago would have saw Uber Eats and would have went, is this really going to work, and will people pay this premium? And today, is there any doubt that it's going to flourish, right? So we just faced huge changes in all of that. So we've continued down that road. From a marketing standpoint, I would have been a person who outsourced my marketing 6 months ago. And today we have a full-time person who also works for us full-time, works on the Paradigm. So we've kind of got a hybrid, and we've put our marketing person in charge and given them a variable comp program, just like we have our salespeople. So I think when you talk about rescaling, we look at somebody handling our social media, our email campaigns, and a lot of our marketing. They're a salesperson now, and they become one of our biggest salespeople on how we're going to go to market. And so it's been a huge paradigm shift, but at the same time, it's been exciting. I think that the tough part has been going through all of this for the last 4 months. The cup half full is we've had plenty of time as businesses to sit back, rescale, do some of the things we've always wanted to do. I've wanted to get into the marketing and the social media way more, and we just never had time to sit down and do it. We've had time for the last 4 months to do this. And so trying to figure out who the customer is going to be, and I think really their solutions, and several people have talked about that, where the solutions we've had to solve in the past are just not the ones that we're going to be solving for the next year. And so it's a great learning, it's exciting, and at the same time, it's a scary time. But I think we're just looking, who are the new customers, and what are the new ways that we have to solve problems, and how do we take all of this new stuff and find a new way to build trust in relationships with them.
Absolutely. Who are those customers? Where will they be? Which old customers are coming back? And where do we find those new customers? I think that leads us very nicely into our next question here for Eric. Eric, your dealer, designer, and chain facilities teams cover a lot of ground every week. Wayne Gretzky is known for saying, "I skate to where the puck will be." Where will your customers be in the second half of 2020?
Well, first of all, you talking about Wayne Gretzky reminds me how much I miss sports, and I hope the guys can find a way to bring them back, because my weekends aren't the same. But we're really trying to find it a couple of different ways. I think there's been some great commentary actually by the folks in this call. I mean, Jamil, you talked about targeted marketing earlier, which I think is a great point. There is just an enormous amount of data out there. There's tremendous opportunity to get a wider net and then try to filter your way through with a wider net nowadays. And then Buck had also mentioned how McKenzie had brought up the point of saying, look, you can be way more efficient if you can then try to narrow that stuff down by having some of the legwork done by tech that previously was done by a much more subjective individual approach of looking and saying, hey, these are good ways to look at it. We've really embraced using some technology on email marketing campaigns, on social media campaigns, to reach out to some of our peers. And when we look at saying, where are folks going to be, it helps us set our target market a bit better. We're really focusing a lot of energy and effort, especially on our heavy equipment side right now, on the design portion of what we do. We do a lot of negotiated work as a dealer, and we rely on our partners in the manufacturing and the rep sides of things to help us kind of convey and get these things through. But as we do that, we're finding we're getting lots of opportunities to embrace, again, technology on educational presentations for these groups, just to make sure that they know when the opportunity comes that there are individuals here in this industry that are excited to help them along the way. And so being able to cast a wider net with some of these tools to market more rapidly and then filter down warm leads quickly so that we can have our sales folks get after those leads and try to develop relationships that'll be really meaningful, not just for now, but for the foreseeable future, is a big thing. I think another part of this about going to where the customers are going to be, I think flexibility is key right now. We look at the way that we started in the beginning of the year. We all know that things have changed a lot from where we were. One of those examples that we've seen is the flexibility being a big deal. Is we had a period of time in April and into early May where we had more visitors to our web platform than we'd ever had. And that came as a result of our ability to provide a lot of supplies that were not just viable for the commercial users, but also for residential and home buyers that were in need of finding some sort of resources that they could not find anymore in their traditional locations. And that helped us get a lot more hits by being flexible to our webpage, which then in turn leads to more Google juice that you can then generate more good quality leads off of long term. So again, I think ultimately what we're looking to do here is find those leads, be flexible, and get out in front by using technology. We're always trying to communicate with our partners that are on the front end of any design to hear where their customers are coming from and where they're starting to grow. There is not one rule of thumb about how things are coming back in any part of the country. We see some where healthcare or senior living is coming back, other where schools are moving ahead, others where we've seen a lot of increased demand from independent restaurants where I think they have a lot more flexibility and capital. They can make decisions much more quickly. And it goes back to what we've all been talking about. It's providing the information to then get them that data quickly, get them comfortable, because many of them want to be in a position here in the second half of 2020, early 2021, where they're opening their doors again, or they're building the new restaurant. They want to be ready to go. So those are all big things. Stay in front of it by talking with peers in the industry and the entire channel, not just our food service channel, but the construction channel, and use that tech that we've talked about here already to keep constant contact with who they are and what they're up to, so that then you can get your teams out there in front of them and really respond. But we're very hopeful that by the end of 2020 and 2021, we have a lot of customers building new locations out to get ready for that opportunity as that moves further along in the year. And so with that, we really hope that we can see some kind of return to normal. We know it may be slower than we wanted, but we'll at least see something. So staying in front of it, make sure you use tech to get as many leads as you possibly can, and then let your salespeople do what they should do with those warm leads, and that's get out and close some opportunities by building trust and using the tools that the group here has talked about.
Yeah, I think you called the SEO Google juice. I don't think I've heard that one.
Yeah.
So for everybody watching,
I gotta give that to my marketing guy. He's much more creative than I am. I wouldn't call it that.
Well, hey, I dig it. I think it definitely gives everyone a little bit of understanding on what the technology can do, whether that's your internal technology, whether that's platforms that you're using, or whether that's the search engines that people are finding you on, whether that's social media or, as you said, Google juice. You also talked about a little bit of that flexibility overall, which I think is important. So if you haven't done SEO before, if you haven't done social media, those are things you can start to really focus in on a little bit more. And that gives you the opportunity to cast a wider net, and leads to something you also brought up, which is those educational presentations. And that leads perfectly into my question to Brian here. So Brian, I know Well-Built posted a teaser this past week. What should we expect from your outside of the booth Well-Built brand experience that you guys are hosting on Wednesday, August 26th?
Yeah, that's really exciting. George mentioned shows, and that used to be our firsthand connection to the end user and products. It's also where we used to gather data. So we'd take that data that we gathered from those shows, and as Stuart was mentioning AI, you'd connect that into some sort of AI and really look at what you can do to enhance the end user's experience with the products. But I want to look at a new tool. Shows are gone for 2020. They may be gone for the first half of 2020 or at least 2021, or at least will change, evolve in a manner. Buck talked about some of the tools we're using in EMEA with our digital master classes. Everybody on here has talked about new solutions. The virtual expo is exactly that. It's a first-person adventure. For you old or new gamers, you actually get to control where you go in the product, in the categories. You can look at product, you can ask questions. Product experts will be online with you, ready to respond. We'll be highlighting new products, new technologies. That includes an open burner broiler, gas broiler that's 90% efficient. If you think about that, it's pretty incredible. Open gas at 90% efficient. You can explore product different segments, which include creme, coffee lineup. You can look at well-built beverage systems, anything that you need for your beverage capital solutions. We'll have new accessories. We talked about sanitation, safety offerings. Where are they? Where can they be applied? How can we help in these next 30 days where product in stores are opening? You can go down different verticals. You can take a look at ghost kitchens. You can talk about education and look at educational setups, new or older. You can take a look at healthcare, C-stores, even fast casual pizza, very specific. We'll even have live cooking demos going on. So if you open a door, you'll come in with a bunch of chefs working on new product and creating new cooking opportunities. We'll showcase some of our existing products as well, just in case when you look at the broad offering that WellBuilt has, you need to take a look at something from the past and get some more details about it, answers on it. It's August 26th. It's the WellBuilt Virtual Expo. Registration is free, and I look forward to virtually seeing everybody there.
That sounds pretty exciting.